Apples everywhere have Isaac Newton to thank for their fame. As we all know, Newton invented gravity, using an apple to display to the before then floating world that things could, in fact, stay on the ground. With Newton's own legacy and that of the humble Red Delicious, gross, secured by this feat of the mind, Newton was able to focus on a different endeavour. He would move on to be the Warden of the Royal Mint, and in doing so, start a years-long fight with an almost, but not in any way, equal opposite in a scam artist. This week on Cheeky Tales, our money don't fold, it jiggle jiggle, as we cover the story. That's so good. The story of the silver coin-based rivalry between Isaac Newton and William Chaloner.
Can't believe you said my money don't wiggle wiggle.
I said don't.
That's not what he said.
Fold, it jiggle jiggle.
So that's worse because it's the other way around.
Yeah. Are you or are you not inspired by another's, a more well-known podcast trying to get their own coin? Is this what?
No. Although now that you mention it, that now I'm thinking about that. No, it wasn't that.
Okay.
This is just a story that I've known for a while, and it's another fun one.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, covering all the topics. Worldwide nuclear holocaust, coins.
Yeah. Yeah.
The most fun hobby, coin collecting, rivaled only
by nuclear holocaust.
by stamp collecting and then nuclear holocaust.
I wonder, what is the
Collecting
world of
notes.
stamp collecting like right now, with stamps kind of not being relevant anymore?
It's like people that collect old guitars. They just keep rebuying the same old ones from each other over and over again until all the boomers die. And then we go, can we just buy new guitars, please?
You can still buy stamps.
Yeah, I know. But
Yeah, but like I'm sure it's not as big a deal anymore.
yeah, they're
And
not
you still
releasing
buy-
as...
Still buy coin sets. I still purchase a coin set from my dad every year as a present for Father's Day.
Nice.
Nice. The stamp collecting, on the other hand,
God, that would be so easy. If you just had a parent that was like, yeah, just buy me this thing every year until I die.
Oh, yeah. It's literally one of each coin, but it's like $35. It's not even anywhere near the value of each coin in the...
Yeah.
Like, it's like $2.50 for all the coins.
Well, yeah.
I got my dad a 6-pack of beer over Christmas. I've done for like 10, 15 years.
Cheap. Wow. Anyway,
And
what do you
here I am
know?
giving my dad like $3.75 every year.
Here's my loose change, Dad. Go to Macca's.
My dad, I paid $35, but its street value was much lower.
Yeah. If you want to reuse this, boy, is it not worth what I
If
paid?
you take this out of the packaging...
Have you come across on short form media people who do like coin hunting?
No.
I have, and I end up watching it because they're like, we're looking for this specific coin. It's worth $23,000, and it's because it's like double stamped or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That's for cheesy.
Oh.
That's my yawn
Oh.
counter. It's my yawn counter.
Sean's tired again.
I'm always tired.
Maybe we should have done the soft drink thing.
That's what I said. Why didn't we do that? Watch that level to make sure I don't get out of control here, Chiquitos. But I said we should have done the soft drink thing first because then we would have had plenty of energy.
Sean
but
would have been
no.
all hopped up on sugar.
But no, yeah, instead of being hopped up on friggin' Mountain Dew, I'm sitting here soaking on the dew of the universe like a chump.
Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
If we want to rile him up, we'll just say unions are...
A tough sport.
Yep.
Yeah. We rolled him up a bit before the episode. So what do you know about Isaac Newton?
He invented gravity?
He did invent gravity.
Is that a shout out for my son?
It is a shout out for your son, yeah.
Nice.
I guarantee there'll be a comment now. I didn't say that.
Oh, God.
100% said that.
5 seconds in, I'm fact correcting already. God damn it.
Yeah, he just discovered...
He did discover gravity, yes.
Well, he didn't discover gravity, but
Well,
the scientific
yeah.
aspect.
He made the mathematical proof.
Yep.
Anyway,
He theorized it.
whatever. Yeah, sure. But do you know anything about his time as the Royal Warden of the
No.
Mint?
No.
No?
The
Well,
world didn't suck. We'd all float away.
perhaps. I'll get into it. Yeah.
Just trying to think of a pun.
You're lost.
Yeah, I'm going to give you some money and you give me some back, and I don't know.
Does it have to be money based? Can it just be Isaac Newton based?
Yeah. Go on. If you've got one.
I'm just establishing the criteria for the pun.
All right, so we got no puns. I'll leave you stewing on that.
You can wait. You can
Apple
wait,
stew?
Chiquitos, until we think of the pun.
Apple stew?
That's not a pun. That's just a thing that relates to apples.
You said we're going to leave a stewing on it, and I said apple stew.
Oh, good one.
It's gone.
Sean's given the stare down. So, this is the title of this section is The Most Exciting Opening Backstory We've Ever Had, a brief history of coins in England.
I've got nothing. John kept looking at me and I was like, stop it.
I got nothing either.
17th century England had a problem.
Mm.
Coin clipping. Silver coins were the currency of the day, but until 1662, these coins were beaten into molds by burly men. Obviously, this would lead to each coin being a little bit different. And if you've ever tried to fit something into a mold, you'll know that you almost always end up with a little extra around the edges. And this was certainly the case with these coins. And so nefarious individuals would clip the edges of the coins in order to gather little fragments of silver, which they could then melt down into bars of silver or even more coins of their own.
How much do you reckon one of those? So, what was the value of a silver coin?
A shilling? I don't know.
The amount of silver was relative to, theoretically, like that was where it came from, is the amount of silver in the coin was relative to the amount of it.
So, you don't have like a value of what that coin would be? Say like,
well, that was the idea. Like a shilling was a shilling's worth of silver.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But my point would be like, how much are those silver coins worth today? Like way more.
At a minimum, same again, the weight content of the silver at a minimum, at a maximum for a level of rarity. Jeez, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about like the historical value of the coin.
Without the historical value.
No, I just mean like the weight of the silver. Like, would be way more than what it was worth back then.
Well, yeah. But I mean,
Silver's
probably
worth more than
not
gold.
actually, because it's the money.
Yeah, but one of those silver coins now, like for the value of the silver that's in it.
A shilling was 1/20th of a pound, or 20.3 grams
of silver. So how much is 20.3 grams of silver now?
Current silver gram bar weighs 20 grams silver bar, $17.09.
There you go. That's my point.
Cool.
A silver dollar or a silver shilling is $17 now.
That's kind of why
that's US. It's US.
That's why they don't make those coins out of that metal anymore, baby.
Nope. So silver is currently $26 an ounce, roughly.
Wow. That's one cheesy. It became clear that coins would need to be made by machines now.
What are you laughing at, Sean?
This is the most Sean fact check thing we've had in weeks. Like, Sean, what's 20 grams of silver worth?
I'm sorry, did you not find that interesting?
No, it's great.
Though?
It's great. Yeah. It's been weeks of me staring at tabs, so I'm on board.
A week of you staring at tabs that I didn't touch.
Yeah, just so many tabs because so many nuclear issues.
So I mentioned that I was reading that book. The author's name I've forgotten again. But it is like the first 20% of the book is like, hey, here's all these nuclear accidents that happened, and none of them you mentioned. They were like, in the 50s, they're like, let's
Oh yeah, I didn't mention accidents. I just mentioned ones that were like end up in it being lost, not even like ones that like the missile caught on fire or was an accidental detonation or.
Yeah, it's like they had like 80 accidents in the first 10 years of having nuclear weapons. Crazy. Back to the coins. It became clear that coins would need to be made by machines now, and so the mint moved to using horse-powered presses to make the coins, which would standardize the size, shape, and stamp of the coins, most notably adding a series of ridges along the edge that would allow anyone inspecting a coin to easily tell if it had been clipped.
Is that why coins have like little...
Yeah, milled edges, yeah.
Cool.
30 years later, though, it was estimated that only 1 in every 200 coins being used were made with the new technology, which meant that it was still very easy to clip and make counterfeit coins. To combat this, in 1697, Nice. England would make the move to make forgery of coins high treason.
You take back that nice.
If you can see it, it's got it in there.
In your script, which you wrote.
Yeah, how about you just write down the year? Nice.
1697.
No, not enough.
England
Not good enough.
In 1069-7, England would make the move to make forgery of coins high treason, which would be punished with the good old-fashioned hung, drawn, and quartered execution. And with that, we have our backdrop to begin the tale of two men battling it out to be the coin daddy of England.
You said counterfeit coins.
Mm.
Would they actually be counterfeit if they're made from excess coin?
Yeah, because they're not made by the mint. They're still counterfeit.
They're made by workers that work in the mint, making coins out of offcuts.
Yeah, but if
most likely being made in the mint.
If they're not allowed to be made, they're still not.
John. Were they made from the correct moldings or pressings? Yes.
Well, no, not normally.
Are you trying to tell me that mint workers that had access?
Oh, yeah, they absolutely would do forging, but
that had access to the correct molds and the correct amount of silver decided in their own infinite wisdom, you know what? I'm going to use my own molds at home. No, they're going to use the ones in the actual mint. Real coins, just illegal in the sense that they shouldn't have been made in the first place. They're not counterfeit.
They are.
They're not counterfeit. They're not forgeries. They're not fakes. Therefore, they're not counterfeit.
Okay, so if an artist paints the same thing twice and then sells it as a one-of-a-kind twice, is that not a counterfeit?
That's a forgery of something that is supposed to be one of a kind. These coins are not one of a kind.
This episode is pro-piracy, apparently.
This is not piracy. This is just like economical ingenuity.
Anyway, I said coin daddy of England and no one reacted to that and I'm upset. One, I'm just going to say the whole thing again.
And you said it again.
You've ruined me. And with that, we have our backdrop to begin the tale of two men battling now to be the coin daddy of England.
Coin daddy.
Coin daddy. Don't cut the previous bit. It was real funny because Aaron was wrong.
One of the coin daddies following the law to the letter and defending the honor of the mint, and the other trying to do the exact opposite of that. So let's meet our contenders.
But surely, all three cameras, they're just two sides of the same coin.
There you go. There you go.
There we go.
There it is.
There we go.
That's the title of the episode.
That's the title of the episode.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yep.
Jinx, you owe me a beer.
That is 2 weeks in a row we've had really good titles.
Mm.
Yeah.
I still love last week's title.
Send nukes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with that.
Why is it called a mint?
It's a very good question.
Like, we know it's called a mint now because they mint coins, but that's not...
Yeah, but that's the verb. But the verb comes from the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isaac the Appleman's origin story. The man in the blue corner would be
none... a tree and apple fell on his head.
The man in the blue corner would be none other than a contender for the smartest man to ever live. Born prematurely on Christmas Day of 1642 to mother Hannah Iskopf and father of the same name, Isaac Newton, who had died 3 months before his birth, young baby Isaac wasn't expected to live all that long, but managed to beat the odds. His mother would remarry when he was 3, moving to live with her new stud, who it seems Isaac, we all scream for Isaac. We all sack for Isaac. Didn't have much, so young Isaac didn't have much fondness for him as, what?
You're telling the story.
I really should have reread this after I wrote it. His mother would remarry when he was 3, moving to live with her new stud, who it seems Isaac didn't have much fondness for, as he wrote in his list of sins at age 19 that he threatened my father and Mother Smith to burn them and the house over them. Bit intense from little Isaac, don't you think?
From a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was writing this at age 19.
The origin of the word mint, with regards to coins, is ascribed to the manufacture of silver coin in Rome in the year 269 BC. Nice.
Of course it's Rome, by the way.
At the temple of Juno Moneta, the goddess became the personification of money, and her name was then applied both to money and the place of its manufacturer. It doesn't go into that, but obviously then the Greek words surrounding Juno, moneta, money, like the word mint would have been
Moneta.
there would have been a Roman word that went along with that.
Nice.
Cool.
That's the origin of the concept of minting and in that aspect.
Thank you, Sean.
It's okay.
Isaac would live with his grandmother for the remainder of his childhood and would eventually find himself at the King's School, which is credited for teaching him the basis of mathematics. His mother would remove him from school briefly in 1659 when her second husband died, trying to convince him to become a farmer. Yeah, I know, this woman keeps having husbands die. Bit suspicious if you ask me, Mother Newts.
Super suspicious. She's putting the silver in the pudding.
So she tried to convince him to be a farmer. Isaac hated that idea and would be saved from a life of ploughing fields by the headmaster of the school. Isaac would return to the school, and in a second example of the petty desire for revenge that would keep popping up in his life, he would become top of his class in his school to stick it to a bully. So a bully was like making fun of him. So he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be the best there ever was. And then
the Ferrari thing.
Yeah. It's me.
Yes. No, everybody's mad at me. I'm the best race car driver.
Broom, broom.
I will win. Didn't like Ford's contract. No, I'll beat you.
Well, no, they were going to beat him.
Yeah, I know, but he was upset at the contract in the first place. He started it.
After school, Newton would move on to the University of Cambridge, where he would study for 4 years before the outbreak of the Great Plague would close the school temporarily in 1665.
Nice.
He would spend the time stuck at home working on the basis of his future mathematical theory of calculus and discovering gravity. You know, the sort of things we all got up to during the 2020 pandemic. I definitely didn't get into restoring Game Boys and playing iRacing. I certainly didn't waste all of my time sim racing and iRacing and learning how to mod Game Boys. It was actually in my script and I didn't read ahead. So there you go. I made the same joke twice. Nice.
For those that aren't aware, the Great Plague is not the Black Death. It's actually a separate plague. It's worse.
Yeah,
but
it's
not the
bubonic
same
plague,
one.
right?
They're all bubonic.
Right.
The plague, the bubonic plague in nature is bubonic has to do with the type of disease. They're all bubonic plagues.
Plaguers.
Plague eye.
But the Black Death, the plague of the Black Death was in 1348-ish, 1350. The Great Plague was 1665 to 1666, but it was worse. It was later
also
on.
The last one, I think.
London, no, we have plague outbreaks.
Well, yeah, but like the last big one.
In England, yeah, we're there. Roughly 15% of its entire population died.
Yeah. At this point, by the way, the University of Cambridge, which still exists now, that's Cambridge, was already like 400 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And not the oldest one in the world still in operation.
Yeah, right.
There's like 3 others. Yeah. So in 1667, he would return to his studies at Cambridge and would eventually complete his most known work, the Principia Mathematica, in which he would lay out the 3 universal laws of motion and laid out the foundation of the effects of gravity.
University of Cambridge, founded somewhere between 1209 and 1225. Older than that, Oxford, 1200 to 1214. However, they've been taken out. Harvard's
only like 100.
Harvard's nothing.
Yeah. There's one in Italy that's like another 50 years older.
Bologna.
Bologna.
University of Bologna. Yeah, it was 1180 to 1190. No, that's like 700 years before Harvard was founded.
Spaghetti Bolognese.
Yep.
Spaghetti.
So, Isaac Newton's 3 laws of motion.
Gravity. Yeah, motion.
Let's see if I remember them. An object that stays in motion.
An object that is in motion.
Is in motion will stay in motion.
Unless
a force is acted upon it.
Yeah.
That's the only one I remember.
Yeah. I don't remember the other 2 either.
The second law, the force of an object is equal to its mass times its acceleration.
Yep.
And the third law, which is when 2 objects interact, they apply forces to each other of an equal magnitude and opposite direction, which is every opposite reaction. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
There you go. Cool. Now that he was super famous and had set the foundations for modern physics.
First try.
Yeah, no biggie. Newton was looking for a more laid-back, easygoing political role to ease himself towards retirement.
Nice.
He would find himself in the role of Warden of the Mint in 1696, which until now had been a pretty low-bother role that came with a decent title and paycheck. Newton just happened to take the job at the same time as England got around to making a fuss about the crappy old coins.
So you're sitting at the Mint.
Mm.
You have this job advertised.
Mm.
In rolls his application.
Yeah.
It's Isaac Newton.
Is this that guy with the apples?
Or just, is this the science guy that's really well known for just like laying out the laws of the universe?
Got like the Principia Mathematica next to him. He's like, what? Flips to the bit that's got like his picture. Like, what?
Because all these random guys working in the Mint is like, all right, Governor. Who's that? Yeah. They don't know who Isaac Newton is.
Governor.
They can't read.
Me and my physics book.
These guys probably can't even read.
I mean, they're working at the Mint.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they know.
Dum-dums in the street.
It doesn't mean, they're working stamp coin. That doesn't mean they know how to read.
They were smart enough to clip the excess off and make their own coins.
I'm pretty sure the guy making the coins is not the one who's also picking who the Warden of the Mint is.
Even the guy picking the Warden of the Mint. Do you know where the Mint was located?
Wasn't it in
England?
No, it was in like Tower of London.
It was in the Tower of London.
Yeah.
It was also a prison. It's not like a higher institution of learning. It's a jail.
Well, regardless of your...
Let's make the money around people who we've incarcerated for probably stealing.
Yeah, the people...
That sounds like a great idea.
It's free labor.
Regardless of your slander on the Mint, Newton would take his new job very seriously.
This is some of the most educated banter you've had in a podcast from us in ages. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're still slandering the Mint. Newton would take it seriously and would swear the following oath.
I love if that's correct.
Oh, man.
I was very upset about it being correct.
Newton's oath. You shall swear that you will not reveal or discover to any person or persons whatsoever the new invention of rounding the money and making the edges of them with letters or grainings or either of them directly or indirectly, so help you God.
Whew.
Yeah, he took it pretty seriously. Seriously enough to start a years-long campaign to rid the country of counterfeit coins and eventually to take down the no-good rotten scoundrel that would be going up against him.
Benjamin Franklin.
And who was this scoundrel?
King George III.
Tell me.
Sean's dad. No.
It was Pope
Gregory Francis the Fabulous.
I mean, if either of you had been paying attention, I already said his name.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Billy Chandelier or something like that.
Billy Chandelier.
That's close.
In the red corner.
I'm so close.
Weighing how many pounds?
Weighing probably a couple of shillings.
Weighing an
a couple
appropriate
of shillings.
Weighing an appropriate weight for a man his size.
In the bread trunks.
William Chaloner.
Oh, come on.
William Chaloner.
Billy Chandelier.
Let's get ready to rumble. I kept it in the green.
Billy Chandelier is pretty close.
All right, so that's what I'm going to have to
Am I
clip from now
clipping?
on, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm
I
clipping.
do remember you saying that now because all I could think of was the Chaloner Centre.
Where's that?
Waco? No, it's where
that's Chandler.
Yeah, you're talking about Chandler Centre?
No, it's where the UQ Ipswich University is now. It used to be the Chaloner Centre, which was...
Oh, well, it's probably not this bloke.
No.
Billy Chandelier was born in
Chandelier.
Warwickshire in 1650.
Oh, Warwick in Western Queensland. Yeah.
Warwickshire.
So maybe it is named
Maybe
after
it
him.
is, but yeah.
And he had a very difficult
40,000.
upbringing.
Yeah.
He had a very different upbringing to Newt's. Where
Don't call him Newt.
Where Newto would spend his
Newt Gunray.
Where Newted would spend his formative years in the crucible of knowledge, Chaloner would find himself near actual crucibles, apprenticing as a nail maker in Birmingham. He had been sent by his parents.
Not that kind of nail.
No, John. No. I just gave you a John too. I was so disappointed in that joke. He had been sent there by his parents after they had difficulty in controlling his wild behavior. And as it turns out, probably wasn't a good idea to send a bad kid to an area known for coin counterfeiting. Working as a nail maker, he would learn all the skills necessary to melt down and shape metal, and would quickly learn the trade of counterfeit.
I mean, I don't feel like it's that hard to melt down metal and then pour it into a mold.
Okay, but like, fine. John's going to be coining coins.
If I had known about, you can cut this if you want.
You say that. I would love to go to a workshop and forge my own knife. That's been something I've really wanted to do.
I have some silver coins that were made for me by a man with a big hammer and a stamp for the coronation of King Charles last year. Like, I watched him smash them in front of me. It was excellent. If I'd known about this, I would have brought them. Show and tell next podcast, Chiquitos. They're actually really cool. Like, yeah, they're pretty neat. He's part of like a military reenactment group.
I have coins at home. It was for the 100th anniversary of the RAF.
Cool coins.
I don't have coins.
Loser.
Actually, didn't we get one?
Sean, what a nerd. He doesn't have coins.
Didn't we get one in school for like the year 2000 or the Olympics or something?
No, it's the Centenary of Federation.
Yeah. Did you get that?
Probably would have been out of school by then.
You might have been grade 12 because we were in about grade 2. But
it was.
When was the Centenary of Federation? 2001. Yeah. I was in school. Yeah. No, I didn't get that.
I don't know where that coin is.
Pretty sure.
Not that I care.
I'm pretty sure I have.
Probably at Macca's. You probably spend it on a cheeseburger.
I'm pretty sure I have mine in a box under my bed.
Really?
In my stuff box, like my memory stuff box,
Yeah,
like my
right,
childhood things. I mean,
You probably got his coin as well. He probably traded you like a Pikachu for it. It's like,
Yeah,
I'll give you a Pikachu.
Like, it's not something that I curated
Tarzos.
myself. It's one that my mum curated for me.
Yeah. Oh, right.
I didn't curate it. It's just it's a plastic tub full of things.
The little time machine.
It's got some cool. It's got cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's got a complete
falling apart.
Chiquitos. It has a complete cool and coins. Unicorns. It's got a complete set of Pokemon Tarzos.
Oh, we just mentioned Tarzos.
I literally just said Tarzos.
And Digimon Tarzos.
Didn't they make Dragon Ball Z ones as well?
Yeah, they
I
were.
had those ones.
They
And
weren't.
Yu-Gi-Oh too.
They weren't as cool though because they weren't holographic like the
Yeah.
Pokemans ones.
The Pokemon.
Look at it. Look at it.
I have Alfie Langer Tarzo on my mirror at work, and no one knows who he is because in the photo he has hair.
Who's that hair?
Yeah, everyone's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "It's Alfie." They're like, "He has hair." I'm like, "He had hair once upon a time." The episode is derailing. Hurry up and get on with it.
Chaloner would eventually walk himself
Sorry,
to London, where he would find that the Craftsman's Guild would block him from finding a job there. Instead, he would manufacture tin watches.
I reckon if I lived in the time, I would have been in the Craftsman's Guild. Sounds like
Yeah,
a cool
you would have
place.
had to go up from like you apprentice through a craftsman.
Yeah. Into like a journeyman, and then sounds cool.
So instead of being a craftsman, he would manufacture tin watches. What do you boys think a tin watch contains?
I know.
Oh, no, not that. That's not the question you're asking.
No. What does a tin watch contain?
I'm fact checking, so I've read ahead and I'm so confused.
A dildo.
Hang on.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
If you want more information, I cannot help you. I couldn't find anything about what a tin watch looked like.
Yeah. It's actually
What?
it's actually just a quote. It doesn't explain
Yeah.
what it is. It just says that he made quote tin watches containing dildos.
Yeah. So apparently, what I could find that was
But that doesn't make any sense. Tin watches.
I don't know.
That contain.
I don't know. You're imagining a watch? I don't think that's what it was. But apparently, people were a bit randy in this time, and they
What were
needed
the dildos made out of?
they needed hidden dildos. Yeah.
Wouldn't have
Anyway,
been,
I feel like we said dildos too much on this family episode. Yeah, that's right.
You've come to listen about coins, but all you're getting are dildos.
So yes, that's right. Our man Chaloner, or Chandelier, was making only the finest artisan, craftsman-manufactured toys for the sexually enlightened. It wouldn't be the last of his weird
Out of
jobs,
what?
as he also managed to convince people that he was a doctor and soothsayer, despite having none of the qualifications. He also developed a reputation as a thief, stealing things, handing them off to someone, and then turning that person in for having stolen goods,
Oh,
saying that his trick for recovering stolen property was to be the one who stole it in the first place. So he's a bit of a dog.
yeah, I don't like this guy. Billy Chandelier can suck a dildo.
another example of his unhonorable ways.
Dishonorable, probably.
No, unhonorable.
Okay.
That's in the dictionary now. Was when he heard that there was a £1,000 reward for information on who was making propaganda posters against the royal family. So he stole a poster, took it to the printer, who agreed to print more copies, and then turned in the printer.
What a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, big brain.
He's using his big brain, but he's a bit of a dick.
Dog.
Yeah. As he progressed... Did I tell you about that at work the other day? When I was sitting in I was sitting in our boardroom and I just had like a Teams call in there that I didn't want to take on the floor. And our boardroom is 5 stories up. Shut up. Our boardroom is 5 stories off the ground, right? And the window overlooks Centrelink.
Oh, yeah.
And I was describing where you work. We've been over this. Stop describing where you work, where you live.
I'm not
our
saying
children's
where
names.
I work. I'm just saying it's near a Centrelink. Good luck finding it.
Everybody knows what city we're in.
Good luck. There's many Centrelinks around here. Shut up.
Actually, you have told me this story, but continue.
So look at him growing. So I'm sitting there after the meeting. It's gone a bit quiet. I'm just like finishing up some notes, and I'm just about to leave the room, and all I hear is this really quiet from the road downstairs. Oi, you dog. Just like faintly through the window, 5 stories up. I'm like, I work in the worst place. So good.
Beep. Oh, sorry. It was too late.
Yeah, good one.
Very late.
So as he progressed up the dirtbag ranks,
sorry, children,
Billy Chandelier would start to set his eyes a little higher and would go after none other than the Royal Mint itself. In 1692, he started to circulate pamphlets describing his idea to fix the issue with counterfeit coins. He suggested licenses to access the tools needed to create counterfeit coins and suggested improving methods for making coins that would make it impossible to counterfeit them.
So far, so good.
He got enough attention that in 1695 or 67, he would address His Majesty's Most Honourable Privy Council on Corrupt Practices, where he suggested that he should be the one to head up to lead the work to improve the mint and gave suggestions to improve the coins. By this time, Newton was in play and was asked to provide Chaloner with the tools he would need to generate the new coins to demonstrate his new way of making coins. That was a really poorly written sentence, but you get the idea. Of course, Newton had taken his pledge to never, ever, ever reveal the special little machines the mint had for making coins, and so would begin the game of cat and mouse that brings us to the story today. Gentlemen, the game has begun. So
is
the game heads or tails?
50-50. So, as Newton had taken his pledge very seriously and wouldn't even allow the Royal Council to demand that he show Chaloner the tools, he would decide that he should test the new methods put forward by Chaloner. And what do you know? They were complete rubbish. The coins were not up to the quality required by the mint and were not harder to counterfeit at all. Chaloner would not be offered a role with the mint, and he had just given Newton a taste of the underhanded tactics he would come to implement in his time. Newton would sense that this was someone he should pay attention to, and so from here on would make it his personal mission to catch and convict Chaloner. Chaloner would, of course, move on to more dastardly deeds, starting work on a new coin counterfeiting operation in Surrey, hiring a man named Thomas Holloway to be his associate, and another named John Piers to work under them. This operation would be outside of town, where there would presumably be less heat from the damn fuzz. Unfortunately, the noise coming from Piers' mouth was a bit much, as he would be arrested for an unrelated charge, and as part of his plea deal, would tell the magistrate about the operation in Surrey. Newton would catch wind of the plea deal and would arrest Piers again to question him, and it seems to recruit him to his team of snitches, as Piers agreed to be an informant.
Double agent. Double agent Piers.
Not a very good one, though.
Oh.
As Chaloner would sense that Piers had been bought, though, what with his trip to the Royal Mint and everything, and then he and Holloway would turn Piers in for counterfeiting. This would cut Piers off from the group and Newton from his informant in Chaloner. So yeah, he got dragged into the Mint in the Tower of London, and then all of a sudden got let free. And these guys are like, "Yeah, you're gonna be turning us in, aren't you, dog?"
And so they turned him in for probably something he hadn't done.
Oh no, he'd definitely been counterfeiting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a counterfeiter, but they turned him into someone else, and he got arrested.
Right.
Yeah. Newton would need to follow some different tactics, and with the police not yet existing, Newton would have to go it alone. He would get himself appointed as a Justice of the Peace, which would allow him to enter properties suspected of being involved in counterfeiting to investigate. He would also set about hiring a network of undercover agents to hang around in pubs, listening out for and infiltrating counterfeiting gangs to gather information.
Sounds very expensive.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this job previously had just been like, you know.
He wanted a cushy.
Yeah, you're the warden of the Mint. Yeah. And he's like putting on the sunnies at the start of CSI Miami. Like, yeah! Yeah, he's putting together like a crew of informants and like, it's a lot of effort to go to.
For some coins.
Yeah. Well, not even coins, just the little edges.
Right. The edge of the coins.
Eventually, Newton would feel that he had built up quite the case against Chaloner, with many witnesses, including Thomas Holloway, Chaloner's associate from the Surrey operation, who had been put on trial for stealing tools from the Mint. So he'd got his associate and was like, you're going to testify against him. Mm-hmm. This is it. Newton would have Chaloner arrested and put on trial for counterfeiting. Chaloner's defense would be an impressive but unfounded allegation that it wasn't him doing the counterfeiting, but instead the Mint itself, like Sean levelled against them before. He would claim that not only were the workers too specialised to notice fraud in other departments, but that they were actively engaged in forgery and fraud themselves. Even more effective, though, was a bribe that he gave to Thomas Holloway of £20 to leave the country to hang out in Scotland for a while. After this, the two other witnesses would recant their statements and Chaloner would walk free with no case to answer. Newton would be forced to face a parliamentary committee the next year, putting forward a strong, multifaceted argument, which would of course lead to the committee finding no corruption or forgery. Chaloner had won this round, embarrassing Newton for a while and finding himself free to continue his unscrupulous ways. So we've got one in Chaloner's corner at this point.
Mm-hmm. Round one.
Chaloner. Yeah. So Newton had like gotten to the point where he was comfortable with the idea that he had him and then he didn't have him.
He did. He just got out of it.
Yeah. Chaloner's argument was basically like, "Nuh-uh, you are," and then left.
Yeah. Not me, you.
Yeah. I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ding, 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 ding. Round two.
Chaloner would go on to begin a new operation, printing paper lottery tickets.
Oh.
Yeah. That were worth £50 each.
But not actual any chance of winning because they're not real?
No, the lottery wasn't like a lottery. It was like, I don't know. It was this weird system of like you had these paper tickets and they were worth something and like.
And you got a dildo.
You win a tin watch. Yeah. In order to set up the operation, he would need to buy a copper plate that was used to print the tickets. In a stroke of luck for Newton and an ounce of poetic justice for Chaloner, the person he would approach to borrow the money to buy the plate would be working for the committee that was investigating the Mint. So they're only investigating the Mint because Chaloner made these accusations, and then he goes out and tries to buy this thing. He would find himself arrested in November of 1698, charged with forgery of lottery tickets. These charges would not be under the jurisdiction of Newton, as the lottery wasn't part of the Mint, but it did allow Newton time and opportunity to continue building his coin counterfeiting case against Chaloner. Newton would find himself swimming in evidence against Chaloner. He had managed to collect a massive number of depositions from petty criminals who had been involved with Chaloner over the years. He would plant informants in the prison Chaloner was being held in to gather information from him there, and would interview prisoners who had been involved with Chaloner to get their depositions. Thomas Holloway would make the mistake of popping back up in London, and so would find himself arrested again too.
His £20 allowance is run out.
Yeah.
Pop back in.
Newton would even be told that Chaloner had been talking smack about him in prison and saying he would keep fighting him until the end, giving Newton all the motivation he needed to close the case on Chaloner. While the case against William for the lottery ticket forgery was weak, with the copper plate disappearing, Newton would make his move in March of 1699
Nice.
with the lottery ticket case dropped and Newton's coin counterfeiting charges brought against Chaloner.
Redacted. Redacting your knife.
So this was it. This was the big one. Newton had his case. He had it absolutely locked down.
He's got the knockout punch ready to go. He's winding up.
Yeah. He's leaning back.
Excuse you.
Chaloner's doing that thing where he's...
Yeah. Stunned.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Homer Simpson.
Man, what a good episode. Is that the one where he gets choppered out? Oh, the guy comes in and takes him out? Yeah. The end game. Chaloner's opening argument for his innocence was that he was crazy. That's right. He played the Mad Hatter card, claiming that he wasn't right in the head when he did all the things that were clearly laid out by Newton. Obviously, this didn't make much sense at all and was not considered relevant by the jury. So he's basically like, I was insane when I did those things.
But I'm not now.
I'm not now. And
I was
also,
then.
if you don't believe me, I will argue that I didn't do them, but I was crazy.
Yeah.
Newton would go on to produce witness after witness. Though as they were all criminals, there was enough reason to consider them unreliable. Newton would bring forward Thomas Holloway's wife, the wife of a goldsmith that Chaloner had used to make coins, and an engraver who had made coins for him, among others. The sheer weight of proof brought by Newton was enough, despite the background of the witnesses themselves. And it would take just a few minutes for the jury to find Chaloner guilty of high treason.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
Which would
Ooh.
leave his fate in the hands of the judge. Sir Salathiel Lovell. Salathiel Lavelle was that judge. Lovell was that judge who had a reputation as a hanging judge. And he would certainly live up to that reputation, sentencing Chaloner to hanging, followed by public disembowelment. Yeah.
That seems excessive.
Executions back then were just like, what's the most messed up thing we could do to a person?
Who's going to clean that up, though?
I mean, they didn't really clean anything up ever, did they?
Yeah, that's why there were so many plagues.
Sewage literally everywhere. Chaloner would have one final play to try and save himself, albeit with a little less grace than his previous attempts.
Run. Just bolt.
He would start spamming letters out to Newton and the supervising magistrate.
Just email spam, just like a bot. Just
to the manager.
Yeah.
They would wildly swing between aggressive and begging, blame shifting and accusatory. His final letter to Newton concluded a little bit differently, though.
I did all this out of love. I'm in love with you.
Oh, it's good.
Isaac, I'm pregnant.
What was the one from the pirate?
Was it plead their belly or something?
Yeah, plead their belly.
Yeah. So this is the end of his final letter to Isaac Newton. Oh, dear sir, do this merciful deed. Oh, my offending you has brought this upon me. Oh, for God's sake, if not mine, keep me from being murdered. Oh, dear sir, nobody can save me but you. Oh, God, my God, I shall be murdered unless you save me. Oh, I hope God will move your heart with mercy, pity to do this thing for me. I am your near murdered humble servant.
With no grammar, random capital letters at all given states, and a few typos, reinforcing my point that this man had never read a physics textbook or a calculus textbook.
Yeah, but he didn't work for the Mint. He tried to. 2 weeks after his sentencing on 22nd of March, 1699, Chaloner would be hanged and disemboweled for his crimes.
Disemboweling.
I know, it just seems so excessive. He would go to the grave with a bit of cheek, though, as the day before he was hanged, he would send Newton the copper plate that had gone missing in his lottery ticket forgery case.
Oh.
Newton would go on to make a boatload of money from his income at the Mint, though he would lose a big chunk of it investing in boats. He would be knighted in 1705 and would continue working with the mint until his death in 1727, cementing himself as a legend of the mint, along with, the physics stuff. And that's it. That is Isaac Newt's versus Billy Chandelier.
I have found some additional clarification
on tin watches
and dildo.
Okay.
Spill the tea.
If anyone's curious.
Yes.
No.
So as we can see, his grammar and education might not have been that good. In this time period, dildo may have also referred to a decorative curlicue, although there is no obvious market-worthy opportunity for streets to sell objects, but it's just decorative. It's decorative engraving and markings. So a tin watch with decorative visual arts on it, curlicue, a fancy twist or curl imposed usually from a series of concentric circles or a motif, is probably more likely to be found on a tin watch than a sex toy.
That would make sense. Why did that word become dildo? Anyway, so they had this like cheeky back and forth for a few years. Perhaps two sides of the same coin. You did, but I was referencing you.
Oh, counterfeiting me.
No, because actually it's from the same material, so it's not counterfeiting.
Yeah, but it was inferior quality, so it's counterfeit.
I think he would like you to bump that.
I didn't want to bump the microphone stand, and I still did.
Yeah,
it's for the audio listeners; they can hear the bump.
Anyway, that's the story. Cool.
Thanks, boy. It was enlightening. Well, we still have those rigid edges on the coins today. That was the origin of the...
Was pocket lightning.
What?
Huh?
I'm trying to lean into the theme.
What?
I don't even know what you said.
Neither do I.
Just cut it.
What did you say?
You said enlightening. I said pocket lightning.
Oh, because you're getting rid of the coins.
Getting rid of the coins.
Well, wouldn't you be getting more?
I was thinking like...
I thought that too.
Yeah, right? Yeah. How good was that sound effect, by the way? That was pretty good.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my God, is there a storm?
Wow, freaky.
Anyway.
What I was saying, we still have the ridges on the coins today. Like, that's the origin of that. Like, that's
it was
something I didn't know that we all have experience with.
Mm-hmm.
And had no idea that the father of physics
also worked at the Mint and had a nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you would like to see some supplemental images that might help you visualize what Isaac Newton looked like.
Coins.
Or maybe an apple. Coins. All things that are pretty rare.
Falling. We'll shoot. Just Aaron's going to drop an arrow.
An arrow?
Drop an apple.
Oh, my foot. Lucky it's not my knee.
We'll demonstrate gravity.
Wow.
Thanks,
Thanks, Isaac Newton, for discovering that.
For inventing it.
Yeah. You can find said supplemental content on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are our social medias at Cheeky Tales Pod.
X.
I refuse to call that thing X.
Okay. Well, that's why no one finds our Twitter account, because it doesn't exist.
No, because nobody's on Twitter.
Yeah, because it doesn't exist.
Anyway, we will be back.
Social media hipster.
Fine.
We will be back in a fortnight with another episode. We hope to see you then. Please share us with a friend. Good night.
Share us with somebody who likes money.
Yeah.
Share us with somebody who collects coins.